Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another Timepieces for Tomorrow live show. Now today in the studio, I've got everything perfected. The lighting should be perfect. The transitions from the face on camera to the Chrono 24 website, all of that should be perfect. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And I do want to point out what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Ulysses Nardin Maxi Marine Diver. It's a 42.7 millimeter with a burgundy dial. So, really different timepiece. You don't see them everywhere. And it's something I've really enjoyed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right in here. I want to remind everyone this is a live show. If you're watching this at approximately 8:24 p.m. New York City time, this is a live show. After this live show concludes, you'll be able to watch the previously recorded live show. Just head over to timepiecesfortomorrow.com, and you'll be able to find this episode and all other episodes there. But what I want to do within this show, and again, it's going to be driven by your questions and your comments, but, just provide some honest and hopefully entertaining and or educational wristwatch knowledge. So wristwatches are a great hobby, something that could be enjoyed by all age groups. And, it's not a situation, there's a lot of wristwatch channels out there, but Timepieces for Tomorrow is going to be different from the perspective that, everything on here is going to be wristwatch centric. We're not going to get on tangents and talk about unrelated topics. It's all going to be wristwatch related content, no profanity, obviously clean for all age groups. So let's go ahead and hop in here and going to provide y'all just a few pointers if you're new to the wristwatch hobby. So let's go on over to chrono24.com. Chrono24.com, if you're not familiar with it, it's one of the, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, wristwatch site. Because what you can do here, not only can you shop on Chrono 24, but you can also use it as a point of reference. So, for example, if there's a particular timepiece that you're interested in, maybe you're heading to a duty-free shopping area and you want to pick up something nice. Maybe a nice dive watch, maybe a nice dress watch. It's good to go armed with information, armed with knowledge, because one of the a common mistake that people new to the wristwatch hobby make is assuming that, you just walk into an authorized dealer and they're going to steer you in the correct direction. Now, although that may be the case in certain situations, you've got to look at it from the business perspective, and that is to turn a profit. So if they've got a piece in there that they feel they can offer at a significant discount, then probably what they're going to do, not necessarily to steer you, the buyer, in the incorrect direction, but they're probably going to encourage, hey, well, we know you like this, but have you checked this out? They'll pull all the authorized dealer tricks. Oh, put it on your wrist and, walk outside. I'll let you walk outside in the sunlight and see how it looks in the sunlight. All of those sales tricks. So, by leveraging a tool such as Chrono 24, what you can do is perform your due diligence up front. So, wristwatches, especially nowadays, because of all of the, just because of the perceived shortages and this, that, and the other, I mean, they can be painfully expensive. So what we're going to do is just go and look at a few brands here. Now, again, everybody's got a different budget, and that's completely understandable. So if there's something in particular you want to see, just ask. Something that I highly recommend right now, and I don't think we've really seen the true birth of Tudor. Now, if you're not familiar with Tudor is a sister brand to Rolex. So Hans Wilsdorf, the guy that invented Rolex, and not to misquote him, but basically he said, he wants to create a timepiece that is more affordable, more accessible than Rolex, but still have the quality characteristics that a Rolex watch has. So he invented Tudor. Now, Tudor for a while, and what I mean for a while, the past, except for the past few years, Tudor has been pretty. It hasn't been that desirable of a thing. Now, historically, way back when, and you can see here, this is the Tudor Submariner. So way back in the day, and it's astronomically priced now because obviously it's no longer in production. But you can see here with the Tudor Submariner, it was actually badged Tudor Prince Oyster Date Submariner 200 feet, 200 meters, 660 feet. And, it looks a lot like a Rolex Submariner. And that's because again, Tudor is a sister brand of Rolex. And you can look at it, it's got the crown guards. The bracelet looks almost identical. And when you look at the crown here, you can see the crown has the Rolex crown on it, even though it's a Tudor. Now, they don't do that anymore. They've evolved, and we're going to look at the current generation of Tudor, which is called the Black Bay. And the Black Bay line is really, really interesting because it's, let's see, let's just load it up here. There's the Black Bay and there's the Black Bay 58. So the Black Bay and the 58, completely different. A beautiful piece. Doza 615. Welcome aboard, Doza. Good to have you, sir. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks so much. The Tudor Submariner is nice. It's got the classic proportions. It's what a lot of people want in a dive watch. Now the Tudor Black Bay 58, and this is something you may not know, the Black Bay 58 is a 39 millimeter timepiece. I've got a Tudor Black Bay 58. Great piece. I actually wear it a lot more frequently than my Submariner. Now, it comes in two different options currently. And one of the options, the original, is this one right here, which was in it's a black with a, what they call a faux patina. And it's, a lot of people like it. The things that make this piece, Doza says, hey, how you don't, picked up a Black Bay 58 on my 40th in August. How you doing? Oh, doing well, man. Oh, dude, great choice. Did you get the Black Bay 58 with the black and the red and the gold and faux patina, or did you go with the blue one? So a few notable characteristics of the Black Bay 58 here is that you've got one of the things collectors like, it's got that red right there, which is super desirable. The hands, they call these hands snowflake because they've got a snowflake shape instead of on the Submariner where you've got a Mercedes style hand, and the snowflake's also present on the second hand. So the bezel, it's a 60 click bezel instead of 120 click bezel like you get on the current reference Submariner. The dial is nice. These are rated to 200 meters, 660 feet. Doza said went with the OG. So Doza went with this one right here. So this one looks really nice. Now, there's some people that dislike it because they don't like the fake patina, the faux patina. And you can see the case proportions on this are super nice. We're going to look at an original Black Bay here in a minute, and you're going to see how the case proportions on it sits a lot taller on one's wrist, and that's a less than desirable characteristic in the minds of many. I mean, this 39 mil is, the bezel click on this Black Bay 58 is great. That's one thing Tudor and Rolex do the best. I mean, it's hard to beat. The clasp, even though it doesn't have a glide lock style mechanism, at least this generation, the Black Bay 58, maybe they'll add it in the future, but it's a very comfortable and adjustable bracelet. One topic of dispute, see these right here? Those are called the faux rivets, the fake rivets. A lot of people dislike that. Tudor added those because it gives the timepiece a vintage look, but a lot of people dislike it because they're fake rivets. So two things with this piece that a lot of people don't like are the fake rivets and the fake patina. But those are small gripes. The case, again, the case thickness in my opinion is perfect. It wears super comfortably. I don't have the bracelet is top notch. The clasp is top notch. I mean, this is a timepiece that's built to last. I don't have any complaints. Now I've got the blue one, the blue Black Bay 58, which a lot of people refer to as the Blue Bay. But now let's look at the original Black Bay or some of the full size Black Bays, and you're going to see how tall the case height is. So let's look at. So this right here that we're loading now is a Black Bay. It's not a 58. Let's see. I want to find one here that's not a 58 so you can see the difference. I got so many of the 58s on here. Let's see if we can find a full-size one. Here we go, 41 mil. So you look at this, I mean, it looks great from the front. And this side profile. Now, one thing, see how they do the crown? It's got like that black etching or whatever in it. A lot of people don't like that. I don't like that. But the biggest complaint with the full-size Black Bay 58, I mean, not 58, but Black Bay, and it's hard to see here, is the case height. This case on your wrist is significantly taller than a Submariner, and it's significantly taller than the Black Bay 58. So for that reason, and again, this little thing on the crown, the black etching or whatever on it, the Black Bay 58, in my opinion, is the best to go with. I don't know why they put that on there like that. Look at that. I don't get it. It cheapens it up, in my opinion. But yeah, these fit really tall on your wrist, and the same is true for the Tudor. Let's search for it. The Tudor Pepsi, the Tudor GMT. At the time of let's go to search. At the time of filming this, Tudor doesn't have a Black Bay 58 GMT, but they have this GMT. So again, it looks nice. They've executed things well with the Tudor GMT. It looks nice on the top, but the side profile, man, you've just got this big slab on your wrist. And again, for some people that may not be a problem, but for a lot of people, especially if you're used to wearing a Submariner Rolex or something like that, it's going to feel tall. One thing they did do well with the Tudor GMT is the crown. See, they didn't put that black ink in there. It's just silver or stainless steel colored. I mean, it looks good. So they've done a lot of things right with this. It's just the case height. So I'm looking forward to a Black Bay 58 GMT. I'm also looking forward to a Black Bay 58 Chrono. And the Black Bay Chrono is it's another one that fits tall on your wrist, although it looks nice except for that. See, here's the Black Bay Chrono right here. Very good looking. They got the Panda and the reverse Panda. Adoza 615 says the date window is tiny too. Yeah. There's some things that are, and one thing I want to point out with these Tudors. Now, the good thing about the Tudors is that you're getting 72-hour power reserve. The current references, you're getting 72-hour power reserve. You're getting the case proportions with the Black Bay 58s of a vintage style Rolex, but you're getting current tech. I mean, you're getting a 72-hour power reserve. You're getting a very nice bracelet, a very nice clasp, very nice overall finishings. Now, I do want to point out, and although Tudor's great, and I love my Tudor Black Bay 58, I do want to point out that, if you really scrutinize these, if you scrutinize a Tudor, put it under magnification, you look at the finishings of the hands, the markers, you're going to see subtle imperfections. Whereas you do the same thing with a Rolex, it's the level of precision when it comes to case finishing, well, not just case finishing, but the dial finishing, the hand finishing, the marker finishing, all of that. It's done to a higher degree on the Rolex. And now, with the naked eye, you're probably not going to notice. But if you really zoom in with a microscope or a camera, you're going to notice those imperfections. Now, as far as the bracelet's concerned, again, it's top quality. It doesn't have the glide lock. At least the current one doesn't. But it feels really good. I really like this Tudor Black Bay Chrono, but I can't pull the trigger on it because I want to get the Tudor Black Bay 58 Chrono when it hopefully releases, because I think that's the perfect case size. But it seems with Tudor, they've intentionally, small things they do to try to distance themselves from the crown, which is Rolex, their top tier brand. They, there's certain things you don't get. You can get a ceramic bezel in the Tudor Pelagos, which I think that's a great piece. Let's look at the Pelagos. Pelagos, I don't know how you say it. But I think this is an outstanding wristwatch. Problem is, and I've tried one on in the Turks and Caicos airport, the problem is with the Tudor Pelagos is that this looks good, and the lume on this thing will blow your mind. I mean, it really will. And it's got a matte ceramic bezel. So, everything looks good and sounds good. The water resistance is 1,640 feet. I mean, this is a true tool watch. Here's the problem. And it may not be a problem for everyone, but at least the current Pelagos, the current Tudor Pelagos, it's only available in titanium. So what you're looking at here is titanium. And if you're like me, you put a titanium wristwatch on and it just feels too light. And the lightness of that wristwatch is often perceived as, whether you acknowledge it verbally or not, the lightness of the wristwatch is often perceived as inferior quality. It doesn't have that weight. I want a proper timepiece. I want something that's made out of stainless steel. I'm not a precious metals guy. If I was, I would go with platinum, because platinum's pretty heavy. You put a platinum Datejust on your wrist, I mean, you're getting, or a platinum day date rather, you're getting a really good feel. But yeah, what they've done, let's put it this way. If Tudor releases a new Pelagos, or Pelagos, however you say it, if they release a new one that's a stainless steel case and bracelet, I'm interested. I'm not interested in titanium. I just don't like titanium. But look at this. I mean, the dial's dimensional. This loom on this thing is absolutely incredible. I've got on the wrist right now. On the wrist right now, I've got the Ulysses Nard and Maxi Marine Diver. The loom, the dial finishing, everything on this piece is exceptional. But it's this and the Panerai, the best loom I've got. And of course the Submariner's good, but this Ulysses Nard and Maxi Marine Diver, it grossly trumps the loom on both the Submariner and the Panerai Luminor. But this little Tudor Pelagos right here, man, that loom on it is incredible. So again, I hope that Tudor listens to this, and I hope that Tudor says, hey, we're going to release a stainless steel Tudor Pelagos just for our guy. I think that would be a kind gesture, considering I'm talking positively about your products. I mean, I love Tudor. Again, I've only got the Tudor Black Bay 58 blue, the Tudor Black Bay 58 blue that a lot of people call the snowflake. And but yeah, also there's a little bit of innovation with the Tudor Pelagos. This little bracelet right here, you can make micro adjustments, and also it's got a setting where it can just kind of move freely on your wrist. So a very innovative thing that I haven't seen in any of the other Tudor timepieces, or Rolex timepieces for that matter. Now, they could have executed better. I think this little visible gap right there and those dots makes it look cheap. I mean, it is a tool watch. They want it to be a tool, but I think if they just made that solid and it's in there, but it's not front and center, advertising, hey, what's that on your clasp, I think they would have done better. Now, there's a hidden gem among Tudor, and I don't have one of these. I almost picked one up in St. Thomas, but I didn't. And this one will really blow your mind. It is the Tudor Tudor North Flag. This in photos looks like junk. I mean, I'll just tell you how it is. It looks like junk in photos. This thing on your wrist, oh wait, that's not the one you want. It comes on a stainless steel bracelet as well. The one you want is a stainless steel bracelet version. What makes this timepiece cool is, well, there's several things. Number one, it has a power reserve complication. So that's kind of cool. Number two, the dimensional aspects of the dial. Look at that. Very cool. The yellow, the black, it looks unique. It really does. It's got a date. Now the bracelet, one thing I do want to caution, the bracelet's integrated. So, if you wear this enough, if you're a one and done kind of person and you wear it enough, you may wear the bracelet out, and it's going to be funky to try to find, because see, this doesn't have like standard lugs or whatever on it. So that'd be kind of funky to find a, an aftermarket strap or bracelet. This thing, though, is, see, it's got the Tudor shield on the crown. One of the things I like about it And again, I tried this on at the Rolex authorized dealer in St. Thomas. One thing I like about it is the exhibition case back. It's a Tudor. If you didn't notice by looking at it, it says Tudor manufacturer caliber. So this is, an in-house Tudor movement. And again, both Tudor and Rolex, they make exceptional movements. They're not the best things to look at. They're all about the durability. They're all about the reliability. And, this is, the case back of this is exhibition case back, which is cool for a Tudor/Rolex product. And obviously you've got that oyster style case back, so it feels really good on your wrist and something that's easy for most watchmakers to service. So, this is a great, less heard of Tudor. Again, the Tudor North Flag, that if you're looking for a wristwatch, it's something to consider checking out. And I know wristwatches are expensive, but I think nowadays, just my opinion, I think that nowadays, Tudor is a great, and I don't want to just call it an up-and-coming brand, because Tudor's been around since, shortly after Hans Willdorf invented Rolex. He's, but not to misquote, but basically said, hey, he's going to make a poor man's Rolex, and that was Tudor, a more affordable Rolex, and he did that. But, nowadays, you're seeing Rolex, they've gone through the stratosphere. They're not in any of the authorized dealers, whatever may be driving the Rolex shortage. Comment below, tell me your thoughts, whatever it may be. The reality is that you cannot walk into most Rolex authorized dealers and pick up a Rolex. And if there's anything in there, it's probably just a handful of Datejust, and they're probably the 36 millimeters. And by today's standards, at least in my opinion, most men are looking for 39 to 42 millimeters. That's kind of the sweet spot, in my opinion, for a stainless steel wristwatch, whether it's a Rolex sports watch or whatever. This right here is about, this is a 42.7, so this is almost 43. But again, Ulysses Nardin, they did an exceptional job with this. I like the way this wears. It's got a unique look. I'll go large. I'll go Breitling Super Avenger, 47 millimeters. Now that, today's standards, that's a little bit too big in the eyes of most. But, if you're, again, wristwatch shopping advice, that's what this is about. If you're a man, you're looking for a good watch, I've got a 7.5-inch wrist, but, your wrist size comes into play. But for the most part, probably the perfect size is 40 millimeters, according to today's standards. But anything between 39 millimeters and, unless you got a really small wrist, then you may want to go with a 36. But anything for most people between 39 and 42 or 44 on the large size, pretty good. You're probably going to be really happy with that. So it's wristwatch collecting is a very complicated thing, and it's one of those things where people can, not just people in the dealership, in the authorized dealer, but people in the forums, people on YouTube, people everywhere can kind of steer you in unexpected directions. So now, if you want to get something that is, I'm trying to think, there's several. I personally am not a fan of Tag. I've never been a fan of Tag Heuer. I know they were really popular back in the day, but I was just never a fan. If you want something that's not a Rolex, it's not a Tudor, and granted, this brand has become a little bit, not super soft, but a little bit soft in recent years, Breitling. Breitling makes some exceptional pieces. Obviously, their claim to fame is the Navi Timer. The Navi Timer, though, it's a large watch. This is going to really look big on your wrist, and if that's what you want, it's a great. It's a very, you can see here the Navi Timer, Pilot's watch. It's a very interesting looking timepiece. Now, this obviously would not be something you would want if you wanted to swim with it. You'd want to be going with a dive watch if you want a swim watch. And speaking of that, and most of my stuff, I like sports watches. I like dive watches. Personal preference. An exceptional piece, and we're going to scroll back here to the main page for Breitling on Chrono 24. Super Ocean Heritage. Now, they've got the Super Ocean Heritage, which has a ceramic, an aluminum bezel. And then they have the Super Ocean Heritage 2, which is the one I have, that has a that has a ceramic bezel. This comes in a variety of sizes. Now, this right here is a blue with ceramic bezel, and a few things to take into consideration with the Breitling with the Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2. It comes on a variety of different strap options. You can get rubber, you can get leather, you can get this, which is what you need to get. This is called the Shark Mesh stainless steel bracelet. You can always add a rubber strap in the future if you want to, but you can't always add the factory bracelet in the future, especially if they discontinue the watch reference. My advice for Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2 would be to go with the blue or the black bezel. Also, the black with the gold bezel looks really nice. I tried that on in St. Thomas. Super nice timepiece. This is a very underrated piece. It's got a date, but it does not have a date cyclops. The date is at the 6 o'clock position. This is rated to 200 meters, 660 feet. Is a certified chronometer. The bezel action is nice, although not as good as a Tudor or Rolex. It's very nice. The lume on this Super Ocean Heritage 2 is pathetic. That's, for nighttime use, the lume on this, I don't know why Breitling put such crummy lume in it. That's the only thing they did that just really messed it up, in my opinion. Now, the overall aesthetic of this piece, especially on the stainless steel shark mesh bracelet, it looks exceptional. It comes in a variety of different sizes. I think it's 42, 44, and 46. I've got a 7.5-inch wrist. I tried on both the 42 and the 44. Both were fine. But to keep things more of a sane size going forward, obviously the trend now is 39 to 42 is kind of the sweet spot for most men's sports watches. So for that reason, I went with the 42 by default. But the 44 looked nice. It felt great on the wrist. And, if you're looking for a very, and I don't want to call it an up-and-comer, but I will call it an up-and-comer, the Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2 right now today is still a super good deal. It's something that I think will probably become a future classic. It's very well made. It has a Tudor movement. This is a Breitling, but it has a Tudor movement in it. And they finished the B. It's got the little B up there. It's in gold. So it's got a very good looking dial. Again, my only gripes with this piece, the case finishing is exceptional. The bracelet's exceptionally comfortable. The clasp on the bracelet, although nice, is a little. Oh, and the case back. See the case back right there? Very nice. Feels good on your wrist. My only gripe, and not a huge gripe, is the clasp. The clasp, although it's nice, it feels kind of thin. If this is a one-and-done wristwatch, if it's the only wristwatch you're going to wear, it's great. You can swim with it. You can do whatever. It's highly water-resistant. But my main gripe with it is the clasp. It's kind of thin. It's not jingly-jangly, but it's kind of thin, and that's something to take into consideration. So, if it's going to be your one-and-done timepiece, if you're going to wear it everywhere, every day, over time, you may wear through that clasp. And that's the case with any wristwatch, but just something to be aware of. Now, on a side note here, the bracelet itself seems to be super durable. It seems like it'll last a long time. And because of the design, the way that this case is made, this stainless steel shark mesh type thing they call it, man, it feels so comfortable on your wrist. It's one of my most comfortable bracelets. And I'll go as far as to say it's more comfortable than my Rolex Submariner bracelet. So, that's a true testament to how awesome this is. Now, it is kind of shiny. The bracelet's shiny, but again, I would not get this timepiece on anything other than the stainless steel shark mesh. That's where it's at. And again, it comes in black also. Let's see if we got a black one here. Yeah, here's the black one right here. And it looks nice. I went with blue just because I've got so many black dial timepieces that I wanted something different, and blue is a good color. But this looks great on black. And let's find the one that's black and gold. Let's see. It's got to be in here somewhere. let's see, Super Ocean Heritage 2. Yeah, this one right here is awesome. This right here in 42 millimeters, it's black, but in photos, yeah, this looks kind of good. But when you put this on your wrist in person and you see the gold bezel, it looks really good, the gold on the black. I mean, it looks really good. Again, photos don't do this justice. You see it in the flesh, put it on your wrist. It is an awesome timepiece. So now, you know, there's some other bargains to be had. And the Omega Seamaster 300M is obviously always going to be a classic, just like the Rolex Submariner. But now they've got so many references of it. Now, this is a more current reference, Blue Wave dial. This one has a ceramic bezel. You know, this would be a good option to consider. Brad, welcome aboard, sir. Welcome aboard the live stream. It would be a great option to consider. It's got a ceramic bezel. But even though it's got that, one thing to be aware of with the Omega Seamaster 300M, at least this reference and the reference that I have, I've got the pre-coaxial with the Blue Wave dial, the original with an aluminum bezel. The bracelet on these, they look kind of dated. They don't really taper. Now, it does have this particular one has an Omega Master Coaxial 8800 movement. Exhibition case back looks really nice. You know, for a tool watch movement, looks really nice. This would be a great timepiece to consider. Now, the clasp, that's one thing I'll say about Omega. They make a rock-solid clasp. I mean, I've worn the heck out of my Seamaster 300M. Let's see. Actually, let's see if we can find... see what I got here. Let's see. I think this may be it. Yeah, so this is the one like I got, and I got it for right around $1,000 from an authorized dealer, but that was many, many years ago. And, you know, these have continued to appreciate. This, in my opinion, is the... Now, this one, he's kind of banged it up. He's got a lot of scratches in his aluminum bezel. This right here is the best semi-vintage, and I say semi-vintage because I think this came out, it was around maybe a little bit before the year 2000. It's been out a long time. A few gripes that people have about this timepiece. This right here is a helium escape valve. It's up there at the 10 o'clock position. Then also the crown guards, they're kind of a little bit pointy, which, I mean, it still feels perfectly comfortable, but just a few things to be aware of. And like I mentioned with the newer ceramic bezel version of the Omega Seamaster 300M, this bracelet, you know, it doesn't taper. It's got an old style look to it. There's a lot of things with this Omega Seamaster 300M that's desirable. The side of the case is brushed instead of polished. Now, it does have some polished sections on the lugs, but as far as looking well, looking great after wearing it a lot, this thing holds up. And there's a clasp. You can see this clasp. Very well made. And it does have a wetsuit diver extension. So, you know, it's a great option. This is something you can get, you can wear. It's always going to be in style. I mean, this was one of the James Bond watches. I mean, you know, it's never going to go out of style. But again, that bracelet does look dated in the eyes of a lot of people. So, you know, something to be aware of. Some other things you may want to look at. And I mean, there's so many options. I mean, when you're looking at wristwatches, there's so many options. I would say, and this is a little bit on the, oh, here we go. The Railmaster. Look at this right here. So this kind of looks like looks similar to a it's kind of like Omega's version of a Milgauss. Now, what they've done with this, they've created a very, and again, I like sports watches you can wear anywhere. They've created a very just basic looking piece, just like very tool watch looking piece. And you can see even the dial. I mean, it's just very, very basic. But these in person look great. I mean, it's a coaxial master chronometer. It's got the bracelet on this thing is incredible. I'm trying to get a good shot of the bracelet here. Here we go. Yes, a very nice bracelet on this. Again, you can see the bracelet uses screws. One thing worth mentioning, the Omega Seamaster 300M that I have, it's got pins, which isn't a problem, but typically a bracelet with screws is more highly regarded than a bracelet with pins. So, something to be aware of. Another option you may want to consider if you're looking at, this one right here. Here's the other color. I like this one a lot. So this is another Railmaster, and I've worn this one in the flesh in St. Thomas. Very nice. It looks, I mean, it's a very unique looking piece. Now, Omega also has the Aqua Terra. And there's so many different variations of it. Now, it comes in at a higher price point. This is more of I would say Omega's take on, kind of like a mix between it's almost like it's kind of like a Datejust Explorer type hybrid in Rolex equivalents, but it's more on the dressy side. It's more dressy than a Rolex Explorer. You can see that's indicated by the polished center links, the brushed outer links. So yeah, these are great pieces. Aqua Terra. I was in St. John and I was swimming in the ocean and dude was out there. I'm like, nice Aqua Terra, and he's like, what? And I said, yeah, Aqua Terra. He didn't realize he had an Aqua Terra. He had an Omega on, and he was shocked. I said, nice Aqua Terra, because I can spot a wristwatch and most any wristwatch and know the reference, not just the brand. And it's always funny when you say the reference, especially if it's someone that's not like he wasn't a watch collector, it turned out, but he was just like, oh, that's cool that you knew that. I'm like, yeah. And then it creeps some people out because they're like, what is this guy, like some sort of like thief? Is he going to try to jack my timepiece or whatever? But and see, here's some of these now. Quartz means it uses a battery. I would never advise going with a quartz watch. Although quartz used to be kind of the hot thing. I mean, if it's not automatic or manual wind, I would stay away from it. Now, there's so many wristwatch manufacturers, and my best advice for everyone, if you're searching for that perfect wristwatch, my best advice for everyone is to save up and take your time. Do your research on sites like Chrono 24. Chrono 24 is great because I get a good feeling, when there's multiple sellers, especially for your most popular timepiece references. And reference just means model. When you're dealing with wristwatches, you talk references instead of models. So when you're researching a particular wristwatch brand and wristwatch reference that you're interested in, it's easy to see on sites like Chrono 24, what's the low selling price? What's the high selling price? And then to look at those, okay, well, the one that sold at a premium, was it new in box? Did it have papers? Did it have, the warranty card, everything? Or was it just a watch without any of the papers or the box? And was it a watch without any papers or box in poor condition? A lot of scratches, maybe a scratch on the sapphire crystal, which is hard to achieve, But believe me, there's some people that have managed to accomplish that. So, really do your due diligence. And in that way, and see, I like to shop. I'm not a buyer. I'm not a flipper. So I'm not someone to buy and trade or buy and sell. A lot of people do, and Chrono 24 is great for that. But, if you research on Chrono 24 and then you go into an authorized dealer, you're probably not going to, the wristwatch game has changed so much in the past 10 years or so. In the past, you could often walk into an authorized dealer for many of the popular brands, and, based upon your knowledge of that particular reference, you could negotiate and you could get pretty freaking close to gray market prices. Now, keep in mind, the gray market, that just means it's not an authorized dealer. So the gray market could be an independent seller. The gray market could be a business that's in business of selling pre-owned wristwatches and buying pre-owned wristwatches. So, if you use a site like Chrono 24, you can be an educated watch buyer when you walk into that authorized dealer, because the first thing they're going to ask, most of the thing they're going to do, is they're probably going to offer you a drink. That's what they try to do. You get in there, they offer you a drink, they try to make you feel good, and then they try to talk you into selling stuff that well, it may be nice, but it's something that they've been wanting to get rid of. It's less desirable pieces. So, do your due diligence up front. Be aware of what you want. Be aware of the gray market prices. Use a site like Chrono 24, like we were just on. Do your due diligence. Know what is a high price and a low price. And, keep in mind, when you're purchasing from an authorized dealer, you're getting the full international warranty, the box, the papers, everything that's available for that particular brand of timepiece. So, that's an advantage, and you're getting the authorized dealer experience. Going in there, they're, especially overseas, they're giving you the beer and the wine and the liquor or whatever, and you're getting the retail experience, if that matters to you. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm a collector, and although I do like purchasing from authorized dealers just because of the paper trail and this, that, and the other, and I don't have any doubt whether it's authentic. A lot of people, if you want to purchase pre-owned, maybe you want to trade, there's a lot of deals to be had on sites like Chrono 24. It's a great place to find pretty much any brand and any reference. So, we're gonna dive into a lot more depth with all of this. I just wanted to provide, just a high-level overview of wristwatch shopping. Some of the sports wristwatches that I would recommend, the ones we just looked at. And, ask your questions. Comment below within this video. If you're watching this and it wasn't live when you watched it, comment below. Let's talk about suggestions for future Timepieces for Tomorrow live shows. And by the way, if you're looking for Timepieces for Tomorrow merch, stickers, sweatshirts, T-shirts, and a whole lot more, coffee mugs, look down below and you can see all the merch that I have available for Timepieces for Tomorrow. That helps us support the channel. It also helps to raise brand awareness. This is a live show that's going to, that I'm really going to evolve. And as always, I want to give a shout out to the Pontiff, Archibald Chesterfield III. Without Archibald Chesterfield III, AC3, nobody in the world would know anything about wristwatches. He's arguably the most knowledgeable wristwatch personality in the world, and there's no way that I would compete with that level of knowledge. So I want to give him a shout out, and always appreciate his very unfiltered reviews rather of wristwatches. Is always very authentic and something you don't get anywhere else. But hope you find these shows to be entertaining. Again, we're going to dive into a lot more depth. This is just one of the first of many Timepieces for Tomorrow live shows. I finally got in the studio set up. I finally got my little bitty monitor over here so I can do the live wristwatch research that y'all see in real time. And so it's definitely evolving. And this was kind of a weird time tonight that I had the show. So we're going to experiment with some other time slots. Again, ask your questions below. Thank you for your viewership. Thank you for your super chats. And you know, we're gonna do a lot more of these. So everybody be safe and comment below. Ask me what you need to know. Subscribe, ring that bell icon, and that'll notify you whenever I post another video or have another live show. Y'all have a good day.